My name is Marcus Pierce. On May 22nd, 2019, I witnessed a horrific event. A civilian accidentally hit an undercover police vehicle, and the officers responded by aiming lethal firearms at him. Knowing that these other individuals were law enforcement, I raised my own weapon. I asked them for a badge. They responded with a bullet to my shoulder. A good Samaritan approached me and took me to the hospital. Returning from my injuries, I have one goal. To bring justice to the officer who did this to me. The officer who failed to search a civilian ride-along. And call an ambulance when I was shot. My name is Marcus Pierce, and this is Court Case 035.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this court is now in session. Today we are hearing the case of 3 Charlie 24 Marcus Pierce versus the defendant 1 Alpha 26 Major Robinson. This case is described by both parties in this case in this court as follows. The plaintiff is suing the defendant for failure to identify, assault with a deadly weapon, attempt murder, domestic violence, and failure to and also did not call for an additional marked unit. On May 29th, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Who is appearing on behalf of the prosecution?
I am, Your Honor.
Alright, who is appearing on behalf of the defendant?
I am, Your Honor.
Alright. This court asks that all members attending remain respectful and silent for the duration of this trial unless addressed. Failure to abide by the set of court procedures will result in a charge for contempt. Now, bailiff, please swear in the prosecution and defense in. Defense, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright, thank you. Prosecution, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Alright. Now, Does the prosecution wish to present an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution wishes to present an opening statement.
All right, please proceed.
Your Honor, my client here is suing the defendant and charging them with aggravated assault, domestic violence, failure to identify as a peace officer, and attempted murder. The defendant is guilty of all these charges because on the day that it happened, my other client, who is not here to appear, had got in an accident, in a collision with the defendant, and the defendant and his ride-along had pointed weapons at one of my other clients, and he felt his life was in danger. So my other client here that is in court had pulled up at LSC and seen that a guy was pointing a gun at someone else. And for an officer to do that, I don't think that's necessary. Instead of exchanging insurance, they pulled out guns and pointed them at my client. Every problem shouldn't be solved with the gun. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, prosecution. You may be seated. Does the defense wish to present an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Going back down about a week ago now, this was Los Santos Customs, Burton. So at first, my client here, Major Robinson, and his civ ride-along were in an unmarked vehicle with red underglow marking. Then a truck hits them head-on, he then reverses, and then he hits them again. This is where my client and his civ ride-along get out of the vehicle pointing at guns because they think, they felt threatened since this vehicle has bashed into them twice now head-on. And then we have the prosecution here where he's brandishing a firearm in public at the back of his head. He then turns around pointing his weapon at the prosecution here. He gave him many warnings that, to command him to put down his weapon. He also did identify himself about 3 to 4 times as Major Robinson with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office and also as Commander Robinson with the PCD Task Force. My client clearly said that he wasn't going to show him a badge / identification until the civilian was going to put down his weapon. And Your Honor, we both know that my client, Major Robinson, felt threatened, so why would he put down his weapon? It makes no sense, Your Honor. For my client to put his life in danger by putting his weapon down, even though my client clearly identified himself as Major Robinson, as a BCSO officer, and also as a PCD officer, so the civilian was already aware of my client. That's it. That's going to be it, Your Honor.
Alright, thank you, defense. Would the prosecution like to present any evidence to the court?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution wishes to present evidence.
Alright, please proceed.
Okay, you have received evidence, have you, Your Honor? So in the video that has been presented towards you, my client has just stumbled upon into the LSC and seen that 2 guys were pointing a gun at one of my other clients. And what my client has seen is he just seen 2 random people just pointing guns. He didn't know who they were, what business they had, or what they were trying to do. He didn't know if they were gonna rob the dude, or they didn't know if he was gonna shoot him dead. So my client has felt threatened for his life. My other client, who has yet to fail to appear, he thought he was gonna get shot. He didn't know what was gonna happen until my other client here that is in court had showed up, and he pointed a gun because he didn't know what these people wanted to do, what they wanted to do with the guy in the red truck. So my client kept asking him, prove some ID, like show some proof of who you are, because someone
Objection, Your Honor.
On what ground?
Your Honor, my client clearly identified himself 3 to 4 times as Major Robinson, as a Blaine County Sheriff's Officer, and he also identified himself as Major Commander Robinson with the PCD Task Force.
Overruled. Continue, prosecution.
I mean, like, any person in the city can just claim that they're a cop. You have to show some proof of identification to prove that you are actually an officer. That's why officers carry badges with them. And me, I can just go up to a random person and be like, hey, I'm a cop, and I'm pulling you over. That's why people want to see badges to prove that they're actually an officer. Cops can just settle a person getting hit just head on with something simpler. You could have just switched insurances, The first piece of evidence shows how the truck only hit the car only once. The red truck only hit the police officer once, not multiple times. Also, if in evidence piece number 2, if my client had put his gun down, he didn't know if the officers, or to believe officers, were gonna shoot him or not. He didn't know what they were gonna do, so he felt also threatened for his life too. He also had 2 guns pointed at him, which was even more scarier. My client wanted to see a badge, so he was able to put his gun down and believe that these 2 people were officers.
Alright, would the prosecution like to present any further evidence to the court at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, I do have some evidence to present.
Or the
Yeah,
defense?
I'm going to be presenting 2 pieces of evidence to both judges. One of the evidence is going to be a picture of the vehicle that my client was using, and as you can see, there is some markings on the vehicle which is red underglow, which also does mark as a PCD vehicle, and I'm pretty sure most civilians here are already aware of this, because no vehicles are allowed to have red or blue underglow unless it's a LEO vehicle. What else I also have to present is some characteristics from the officer, if you give me one moment. Your Honor, I do advise you to read the characteristics about my client, Major Robertson, and look at all the descriptive techniques the Blaine County Sheriff's Office department heads use to describe my client in a positive manner. That's going to be it for the evidence, Your Honor.
Alright, thank you. Alright. Just give me, Judge Nick a moment to look over the evidence.
Your Honor?
Yes.
May I get a copy of the prosecution's evidence?
Yes. Prosecution, will you give him a copy of your evidence? Both pieces of evidence.
Alright, I have reviewed it.
Alright. Does the prosecution wish to present any witnesses to the court?
One of our witnesses isn't here, but he wrote a statement that can be read.
Alright, just give that to me and Judge Nick here.
There you go.
Alright, thank you.
This is the guy who actually was driving the red truck.
Okay. Prosecution, would you also send this statement to the defense so they're aware of what we're reading also?
Okay, I will.
Judge Cherry, I have reviewed it.
Alright. Prosecution, do you have any witnesses here in person that you would like to question at the time?
Yes. Can I call up Hazelnut?
Would the witness please raise his right hand? Alright. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Alright. Prosecution, you may proceed.
Can you please explain the day of the accident?
So, I was at Los Angeles Customs down in the city, and I was talking to my buddy, and I saw this red truck crash into a muscle car, and 2 officers came out pointing weapons at the people in the red truck. I was hiding behind my car because, well, it's my car over me, or me over my car, so, I don't want to die, so I hid behind my car. And, Logan was there, and he aimed the gun at the officers, or at the time we didn't know they were officers, but he aimed it at them, and then basically what happened was I saw him get shot, I picked him up, I drove him to the hospital, checked if he was good, waited there for like a long time, and he survived. So, yeah.
As you claim, you said you didn't know that they were officers?
At the time, no, because one of them looked like civilians, and the other one was wearing like a suit like me.
So these random people who just waved guns around at people, did you believe that they were officers at all, even though if they claimed that they were officers?
I don't really believe they ever stated they were officers. I was kind of far. I was listening. They didn't really look like officers at all. I was just watching, and then as soon as my buddy got shot, I took him to the hospital. I thought it was some kind of game.
And so, did the officer ever call backup? Any marked units at all?
There was an officer there, and he didn't even think that the people aiming the guns were even officers. The officer that showed up was actually aiming the guns at the so-called officers as well.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Would the defense like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your
All right. Proceed.
Honor. Okay, Mr. Hazelnut. So you're stating that you picked up the prosecution and you drove him down to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
And approximately how long did it take you to get down to the hospital?
Roughly 30 seconds to a minute. We were
And
riding.
was there a lot of blood in your car?
No, because I was actually helping him the entire way, even when I was helping the nurses into the hospital.
Okay, you didn't realize that the prosecution side was shot to the neck. If he was shot to the neck slash the shoulder area, he most likely would have bled out within a minute.
I was driving pretty quickly at the time. I was applying pressure on the wound. When he got shot, I basically instantly ran over there and picked him up and took him because they were putting all their focus on the red truck.
What do you mean by it instantly?
As soon as he got shot, the officers were focusing on the dude in the red truck. I had time and I picked him up and I rushed him to the hospital.
Okay, and you do realize that the patient was wearing a body cam onto his around his shoulder area, and don't you take into consideration that if he was shot to the neck slash shoulder, most likely that body cam would have been broken by now, or a clip would never have saved. You do take that into consideration, right? I believe this wasn't even a murder, as the defendant here stated that it took them around 2 minutes to get to the hospital. And within 2 minutes, he clearly would have bled out from his neck.
I actually said 30 to a minute, so
30 to a minute, and he still would have bled out from his neck.
Also, there was CCTV camera all over the place. Oh, my car was also facing the area, so there's cameras pointing everywhere. So there's video proof everywhere.
And do you have proof of blood spilling out in your car?
I had to get it cleaned. I actually got a new interior. It's more like a race car, so that stuff's replaceable.
So you don't have any proof?
Why would I keep blood in my car, sir?
Well, you could have at least took a picture for the court day, because now, I have a possibility that there was never even blood in your car. That means the prosecution may have never even been shot, and this could have been a blank bullet.
Well, actually, at the time, there,
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Does the prosecution wish to redirect?
Yes, prosecution wishes to redirect.
All right, proceed.
So, as defense just try to say, why would you have the blood in the car? I understand that you would take away the blood, but did you visually see my client get shot?
Yeah.
And can you tell us where he exactly got shot from your point of view?
I was hiding behind my car, and I saw him get shot. I saw him laying on the ground, so from my angle, he kind of got shot in like the shoulder, and then when I picked him up and I took him, it seemed he was bleeding from like around his neck, around his chest area, around his shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yes. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Would the defense like to redirect also?
No, Your Honor.
All right. With evidence and hearing from the witness, me and my
Your Honor, I would like to call the prosecution down to the stand if available.
Can you repeat that for me?
I would like the prosecution down to the stand for some questioning.
Oh, proceed.
Okay, sir. So you're stating that you were shot to the side of the neck slash shoulder area, correct?
Yes.
And you was bleeding?
Yeah, I was bleeding. I kind of blanked out a little bit. I blacked out a little bit because, I didn't really see what was going on after that.
Okay, so you're telling me a bullet did impact with the side of your neck slash shoulder?
Yes. And then next thing I know, I woke up in the hospital, and then I have a GoPro on me at all times too, because I do recording thing on the side as well for my channel.
So you just told me that you went to the hospital and you have surgery there, correct?
Yes.
So why there's no sign of any medical bills from the past week of anyone in the hospital with a bullet to the shoulder/neck area? You want to confirm stuff for me?
I don't know why there isn't. I'm pretty sure there is. I mean, I just got like a couple $100,000 taken out of my account, so I'm assuming that, you know, I pay out all my bills, you know, for my medical. I got a couple of bills and I just paid them.
Okay, so you're stating that you paid around 100,000 for a bullet that went inside of the neck.
I don't know the exact amount right now.
Okay, so you don't know the exact amount, but do you have any proof that some money went out for that surgery? Because I'm pretty sure it would be expensive if it went to the side of the neck.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can you continue that real fast?
I just wanted to ask you, do you have any proof of you like you losing money out of your account for the surgery that happened, that, you know, when you were shot to the side of the neck/shoulder area?
I could get some in the next couple of minutes if you would like to see that.
Next couple of minutes. Well, evidence is currently closed, so I mean,
okay.
It's a bit bad for you. So I mean, I don't know, maybe your medical records have just disappeared and turned into magician.
Why is he being a smartass?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Alright. Does the prosecution wish to the stand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright.
So, Logan,
Yes.
where did you say you got shot at?
Honestly, I was so concentrated on the officer. I just felt impact in like my right shoulder, and I fell to the ground, and I just started to black out. And that's when I saw, I believe, the past witness come up to me. Then I just slowly blacked out.
And when you rolled to the LSC, can you please tell me, what do you think of the people who were there?
Well, I rolled up and I just saw this red truck like right next to that other so-called police vehicle. But I mean, at the time I didn't know. So I got out and I just wanted to see what's going on, and then all of a sudden I see both of them come out with their guns facing this other individual. So then I kind of got into earshot, and I was trying to find out what was happening. I just hear like, put your hands up, put your hands up. So I didn't know. I pull up my gun, and then my CCW that I have for my combat pistol, and I asked them who they were and what was going on. And then I told them to put their guns down, and they turned around and they started to aim at me, and they told me to put my gun down. So then I believe the defendant over there said called out that he was a police officer, which, I mean, that for me that doesn't really mean anything. I could say that I'm with the FBI or I'm with the CIA. Does that really mean anything? So I told them to pull out a badge or some sort of identification. He continued. He didn't respond to that. And then his ride along.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
His partner, then I don't know who he was, then told me to put the gun down. Then I kept on telling him like 5 or 6 times to show a badge or some sort of identification that they are actual cops. I mean, if they were actual cops, I would have put my gun down, and, you know, the whole thing would have been resolved, because that's a police matter. It's not mine. I don't have any jurisdiction over that. I just thought that it was like 2 random guys trying to gang up on this other guy who was unarmed and didn't have any weapons. So then I got a shot to my like shoulder, neck area, and then I just fell to the ground and I blacked out.
So, at that time, neither of the ride-along or the officer ever proved himself?
No, they never said anything, or they just said that they were a part of the police department, which, you know, I didn't believe, because I've seen a lot of impersonation in the past. So I asked them to pull out a badge or some sort of identification. I mean, one guy had like a full-on suit and tie like I did, and the other guy had like just a green bulletproof vest and like black shirt and jeans, you know. I don't know if they're just trying to be impersonating police officers. So, you know, I told them to put the guns down, and then they didn't provide any identification or anything. So then then it just kind of went downhill from there.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Alright. Does the prosecution wish to re-examine the prosecution? I mean, does the defense wish to re-examine the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. I just have one question for the prosecution.
Alright,
So,
go ahead.
by any chance, did that bullet ever get recovered from the Los Santos Customs in Burton? Because I haven't seen anything in the police reports / medical reports.
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I got shot, I woke up, and I'm better now. So, you know, I don't know where the bullet is. I don't think I would, have the bullet on me.
Okay, and have you contacted department before suing my client.
Have I contacted
About
whom?
any police departments? We got
Yeah, I
the sheriff's
did.
office,
I did
the
actually.
county.
After I got my friend and I told them to go to some sort of police officer to try to get a supervisor or something down, and nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sue the department now, or whatever division they're in, and those two individuals.
Okay, but you do take into consideration that bullet was never recovered. Therefore, this could have been a blank, and then you could have just simply tried framing my client for murder.
Okay, let's check any bullets that were discharged from that weapon. What about their weapon?
I mean, there was no check.
Have you got for police department?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, there it is.
Right. Now, I have a question myself. So,
Yes.
prosecution, you said you were shot in the shoulder neck area?
Yeah.
And you were taken to the hospital. Was there EMS called?
No, there's no EMS called at all. I mean, the officer just I from what my friend told me and what I've seen on the other evidence and footage, basically what happened was that they just continued to focus on the other individual, and no EMS was called at any time to that scene.
Alright, that was just my one concerning. Judge Nick, do you have any questions you would like to ask?
Yes, I do. At any time, did the department proceed to the hospital to take a statement from the victim?
No.
Okay.
I actually had to go to an officer after that, and I told him the incident, and then they just tried to get a supervisor down, but nobody came at all.
So what you're saying is an officer discharged a weapon and there was no report issued as far as the discharge of the weapon?
Negative.
All right.
Who is the other now? Oh.
I'm sorry?
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do we have access to the end of shift report for the officer in question?
If there was one posted, then you guys do have access to them.
Could you please present that?
I do not have anything that's all with the force that he was with, which is PCD/Blaine County Sheriff's.
Okay, thank you. You may go ahead, Cherry.
I just have one question. Who was the other male that was with the Major Robinson?
Your Honor, I believe Sivralong is currently not going to be present at the courthouse.
He's not present?
I believe so.
Alright. Okay. Does Major Robinson, do you know his name?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's his name?
It's gonna be a Barry Allen.
And is this a fellow officer?
No.
What do you mean? No.
I was at the station, and he asked if he'd go on a ride along, so I said sure, as I was the highest ranking on duty at that time. Forgot to search him, and on that scene, I was so focused on the guy aiming the gun at me, I didn't think to check him.
Alright, and do you know Barry Allen? What's your relationship to him?
My relationship to him, you can consider us friends.
Friends? Like, good friends, or just met friends, and what?
Just like acquaintance friends.
Acquaintance friends. Alright, and you was the highest ranking officer on duty that time?
I was, Your Honor.
Alright, that's all the questions I have. Would the defense come to the stand, Major Robinson? Will you come to the stand? Prosecution, would you like to redirect your interview onto Major Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Major Robinson, at the day of the incident, did you ever fire your firearm?
No.
Are you positive of that?
Yes, I'm very positive. He aimed the gun at me. Within protocol, I had every right to shoot him then, but I wanted to try to de-escalate the situation.
Did your ride-along ever fire his firearm?
Yes.
Right. So why did you never show your badge to Logan?
I told him, and I quote, that I was not going to show him my badge if he did not put down his weapon, because then that leaves me at risk to get shot. And yeah, I was wearing a bulletproof vest under my shirt, but that doesn't always protect you.
So at that time, why didn't you call any marked units?
At the time, I was trying to de-escalate the situation and didn't have time to reach for my radio and call anyone.
And after you shot my client, or
I did
your
not shoot you.
ride-along
Your
had
Honor.
shot my client, why didn't you guys ever call for EMS?
Well, at the time, he was shot in the head.
Well, from the looks of it, he was shot in the shoulder dash neck area. So even though if he was shot in the head, why didn't any of you or the ride-along ever try calling for 911, EMS,
Objection.
or even like a coroner?
Is that?
I said objection, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Well, what the defendant's lawyer here is trying to say that they never called for 911. They didn't even probably have time to call for EMS since the prosecution was taken to hospital by his fellow friend Hazelnut so quickly. So there was no need for EMS, as he was already getting transported down to the medical station. And then the defense's lawyer here tried blaming my client for firing his weapon, which my client never discharged his firearm. That's going to be Your Honor.
All right. Prosecution, continue.
So wasn't it your job to search your ride-along,
Yes, sir.
and you failed to do so?
Yes, sir.
And so the reason why he got shot in the neck dash shoulder area was because you failed your job and never searched him.
Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Could you repeat?
So the reason why my client here was shot in the chest, not the chest, the shoulder dash neck area, was because you failed to do your job and searched your ride-along.
No, the reason your client was shot is because he decided to pull up on two people aiming guns at the suspect, trying to apprehend him. And I quote, when asked who he was, he said, "I'm the guy with a gun to your head." That's why he was shot.
He was showing who he was in that situation at that time because you didn't know who he was because there was multiple people at that scene.
No, when he arrived, he pulled his weapon and he said, "Who are you?" I said, "Who's asking?" He says, "The guy with the gun to your head." That's as much identification as he gave. I didn't get a name. And yeah, that's it.
Did you guys ever attempt to go to the hospital and check on my client?
Not at the time, no.
And why was that?
Because we had a bunch of other things to deal with. We had that one civ who was not cooperating, fidgeting a lot, moving around.
And why did you and your ride-along just react and go straight to weapons instead of escalating it a little lower and just calming it down and just trading insurance?
Because he first originally hit us, and then I was gonna get out, talk to him, ask him what was going on. Then he backed up and hit us again. It wasn't a hard hit, but it was still a hit. And at that point, me and my ride-along thought it might have been intentional, so we just wanted to get him detained and see what was going on.
Why didn't you or your ride-along ever just pull out a non-lethal weapon instead of just straight to a gun?
My ride-along did. I keep a taser in the glove box, and he found that. He got it out. It was only when he switched back to his personal weapon when your client pulled out a gun on us.
From the whole view of my client, it just looked like the ride-along always had the whole time. I never pulled out a taser.
All right. I believe you said no further questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
At this time, would the defense like to redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a couple questions for my client.
Please
Okay,
proceed.
Major Robinson. So, you got told that there was someone aiming a gun behind you to the back of your head, correct?
Correct.
And what was the first thing you thought as soon as someone said they have a gun to your head?
The first thing I thought was I was well, what they said, I was like, who's asking? Because I thought it might have been another cop, and then I was gonna identify myself to them in case they didn't recognize me. So then he goes, the guy with the gun to the back of your head. At first I was confused. I thought it might have been a joke, so I started looking around, and sure enough, he was over there behind a black muscle car with a gun to my head. So at that point, I started aiming at him, giving him commands to drop it. At that point, I did identify myself as Major Robinson and Commander Robinson with the plainclothes task force.
Okay, Major Robinson, and you did feel threatened when he was pointing a gun to the back of your head, correct?
Oh, yes.
Your Honor, you do realize, following police protocol, if someone is aiming their weapon towards a police officer, they have every single right to shoot them. It's their own safety before anyone else's. That's going to be Your Honor.
Your Honor, may prosecution call up another witness?
Yeah, go ahead.
Prosecution wishes to call up 3 Charlie 174, the first marked unit to ever arrive on scene.
We're gonna swear you in before. So raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, prosecution, you may begin.
So, Charlie 174, tell me your first thoughts when you arrived on scene.
Okay, so I was patrolling around the city. I go into the LS Customs and I see a bunch of cars bunched in. First thing I see is 2 people holding a gun at one guy. So my first instinct is to get back up and make sure to put the my gun on the bigger threat, which is the 2 people, right? And then a person comes up to me. He says, "Sir, there's 2 people aiming their gun at me right here. Could you tell them to stop?" So I tell him to stop, and the first thing I hear is this officer aiming his gun at me like that. And then after that, he walks towards me, I walk back, and he gives off his badge number as soon as, but that was like after, so I understand why the prosecutor does see that he is like, he was unmarked and he was acting as a civilian, or in that case, clothed. So I have the same thoughts as the prosecutor, and I did not know that the officers were officers, and I felt like they were a bigger threat towards the civilian. And also I did see the crash in the surveillance. I was shown the surveillance afterwards, so there wasn't really a reason for him to get shot.
So when you arrived on scene, the 2 people you saw pointing a gun at the civilian, you didn't know who they were, if they were officers or not?
Nope, I just saw 2 people behind a car, and my first instinct was to make sure everybody was safe.
So when you arrived at LSC, did you even get called out, or you were just patrolling around and just...
I was patrolling around, yeah, and I assumed that they were civilians.
So when you arrived on scene, first instinct was to point the gun at the people who you didn't know were even officers, who claimed to be officers.
They did not claim to be officers until after. That's when I left the scene.
And did EMS ever get called out to the scene?
I was not. I don't know if that would happen. I just know that I was there, and as soon as I found out they were officers, I left the scene because I thought it was handled, and then I didn't know the other guy was a ride-along. I thought he would be an other officer.
And isn't it protocol that when you start ride-along, so you have to search your ride-along before you take them out?
Yes, sir.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, does the defense wish to cross-exam?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay, I believe that's going to be 3 Charlie 174, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell me your rank, please?
I am a deputy.
Okay, you're a deputy. And how long have you been with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office?
I quit for a little while and then I got back into it. So from the time I got back into it, it was I think it was a week or so.
Okay, a week or so. And you should have already been informed by the PCD task force that they drive gauntlets with red underglow. So was you not informed?
I did not see the red underglow because you guys were out of the vehicle.
Okay, but you did still see the gauntlet, correct?
I did not see the glow at all.
So you didn't see the vehicle that my client stepped out of, correct?
I didn't see that.
Reminder, you are on the.
I didn't really see any vehicles being stepped out of. I've arrived on scene and everybody was out of their vehicles.
Okay, and what vehicle was my client next?
Your client was it was some black muscle car, I believe, or something
Yes,
like that.
and that's a black Gauntlet, and that's a PCD supervisor vehicle that everyone in the force of Blaine County Sheriff's Office and the Californian Highway Patrol were already informed about.
Yes, but it's also possible for a civilian to have that type of car and color.
Okay, but you did hear my client identify himself about 3 to 4 times as Major Robinson with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office / Commander Robinson with the Plainclothes Division Task Force.
I did not hear that. I heard somebody come up behind me and tell me that you guys were aiming guns.
Okay, so you're gonna say here that you didn't hear my client identify himself as Major Robinson?
I did not.
Okay. I believe my client wants to add something on.
Go ahead.
Yes, I would just like to say, as a law enforcement officer, shouldn't you be aware of the subdivisions in your police department?
I am aware, but I was not aware that you guys were in that subdivision.
All right, shouldn't you familiarize yourself with the uniforms of that certain subdivision when you are sworn in as a law enforcement officer?
I don't know the uniforms, but I do know that I know the vehicles that are set up.
So if you knew the vehicles, why didn't you know the gauntlet when you arrived on scene?
Because I was sure that it was a civilian.
All right, so you just assumed it was a civilian vehicle.
Yes, I did assume it was a civilian vehicle.
One thing in law enforcement you're taught never to do is to assume things. You always want to get facts.
Yeah, but how are you supposed to get facts when you don't know exactly what's happening and you just see you see a possible threat to another person?
Well, you see, the PCD vehicles have a very distinct color, and no other PCD vehicle is any other color. That color would
Yes,
be
but
gray.
civilians are able to change the color of their vehicle as well.
What was that?
That's true.
Objection. Anyone in the whole.
Continue to.
All right, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe my lawyer stated that he did have a photo of the red underglow on my vehicle.
Yes, Your Honor, I have submitted that into evidence. Please take it into consideration.
Okay. So I have a question. So Deputy 3 Charlie 174, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When you came on scene, were they inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle?
Outside of the vehicle, that's why I did not know that it had a marked underglow.
Okay, and then Major Robin, what is the correct uniform for PC?
PCTF.
Yeah.
Our most used uniform are jeans and a black sweatshirt. On that day, I was wearing a suit. It wasn't released to the rest of the PCD. It was a uniform that I would use. That was a uniform that was known by the commissioner. So other cops knew what it was. The rest of the PCD knew what it was. So I don't know why this officer wouldn't know what it was.
So are you the only supervisor for PCTF, correct?
No, Your Honor.
How many other supervisors do you have?
Before it was shut down, I believe we had 3 others.
Why was it shut down?
I was not giving a specific reason. The commissioner told me that it caused more problems than it fixed, apparently.
Okay. So the commissioner said you were the only one to basically have that outfit.
No, he did not say that. I said he knew about it.
He knew that you were using that outfit, correct?
Yes, I've been on shift with him multiple times using that outfit.
So your normal outfit wear is a black sweatshirt and jeans?
Yes, that is available to everyone on the task force.
All right. And before you had your, what was it, a suit, correct?
Correct.
You were wearing that outfit.
Yes, Your Honor. We also had another outfit, which was jeans, a white shirt with a black vest.
And does that go for everyone or just?
Yes, all the uniforms except for that suit are available to everyone.
Okay, Your Honor, I have one question for Major Robinson.
Proceed.
Thank you, Major Robinson. And on your belt, on your right-hand side, which is going to be my left-hand side, you did have your badge. Is that correct?
Correct. It might have been covered up by the suit coat, but correct.
Okay, so you're telling me if the prosecution had a pretty good look, they would probably spot that badge, correct?
Correct.
No further question, Your Honor.
May I speak, Honor?
Yes, proceed.
First of all, when they're behind a vehicle, you probably cannot see the badge as well. So maybe if you shown them a little something else, that'll help
Can I
out.
say something, Your Honor?
Let him finish.
That's basically all to say is that the badge is hidden. It is behind a vehicle, so there wouldn't be any way for the prosecutor to see it.
Okay. Defense, what did you also want to say?
I just wanted to point out I was not behind my vehicle. I was on the driver's side, and the way he pulled up, he was facing the driver's side. So I was in perfect sight. My suit coat might have been covering up it a little bit, but maybe if he wasn't so focused on aiming at my head, he would have looked down and possibly saw the badge.
Your Honor, also bear in mind my client did identify himself 3 to 4 times as Major Robinson with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office / Commander Robinson with the PC task.
Alright. Well, Defense, I also have another question. When you arrived on scene and the dude that didn't introduce himself, what did he say? I'm the one that had the gun at your head?
Yes, Your Honor. What he said, and I quote, he comes on scene, he goes, "Who are you?" I said, "Who's asking?" And he goes, "The guy with a gun to your head."
Okay, from that point, did you know that your ride-along had his weapon out?
I was aware that he had the taser. I was not aware that he switched back to his personal weapon.
Okay.
Because he was behind me, like he was on the passenger side, and I was looking directly at him, aiming my weapon.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Bear in mind, even though the active Civ ride-along did change from a non-lethal to lethal, it's still considered as self-defense, as he's getting a gun pointing towards the officer's head and also towards his location.
Objection.
Direction.
Overruled.
That's going to be it, Your Honor.
Alright. We're gonna take a short recess for me and my secondary judge, Nick, to go over all the information that was provided and said today. Court will be back in session within 5 to 7 minutes.
Alright, well,
We're on a winning start right now.
If they say anything about EMS getting called, tell them it's police protocol that the officers need to call
and the lawyer said because the Civ took the vehicle or took the prosecution with him.
There was no need to call EMS.
Yeah, and that's BS because I mean okay, it doesn't matter. You still get EMS called out if there was a shots fired and someone hit. It doesn't matter.
There's still a 2-minute delay when then you got picked up. There's still a 2-minute delay from when you got picked up. Who's this guy?
Alright. Is the prosecution and defense back in courtroom?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright. Me and my other fellow judge have a couple questions. So Major Robinson, when you stated who you were when the guy had the gun to your head, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell me what you stated?
Yes, Your Honor. So, after multiple commands telling him to drop the weapon, I'm having a blank. What's the word for announcing? I guess I announced myself as Major Robinson with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office, as well as Commander Robinson, Blaine County Sheriff's Office, Plainclothes Task Force.
Okay. Now my next question for the prosecution. Did you ask for his badge number or did you ask for who he was?
I asked for any sort of identification or badge, any sort of physical proof that he is who he say he was.
And Your Honor, I asked the same question. I was a man in the red truck.
All right. My next question is Major Robinson. You had your gun out on the CCTV footage. It shows that you had your gun out, pointing at the man in the red truck. Was it a high felony stop? Like, what made you take out your gun on him?
No, Your Honor. So originally we were sitting there, and then he ran into us. So originally I was gonna get out of my car, see what was up with him. But then he backed up and then hit me again. And at that point, I thought it might have been intentional, and I felt threatened. So I did want to get him detained, and then investigate from there.
Objection, Your Honor. I did not hit him again. I was slammed into by another car. Another car, a black Dominator, slammed his car into me, which then forced my truck to hit him again. I did not intentionally hit him.
On what grounds?
On him getting hit by another vehicle into the PCG vehicle.
Overrule. Okay, so on the CCTV footage, from my understanding and from Judge Nick, it shows that you were driving in and the Black Gauntlet, I believe it's called.
It's graphite, which is a mixture of dark gray and black. And I'd also like to point out that the ride along had a taser, so I was lethal. He was non-lethal.
Objection, Your Honor. From the first piece of evidence we showed you, the video of the view from the red truck, the ride-along always had a gun. He never switched out to a secondary. He never switched out to a taser. Only through halfway, if you can barely see through the dash cam of the red truck, that he switched to a taser. But once Logan announced himself, he switched right back to a pistol.
Objection.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Your Honor.
Well, yeah, proceed.
The ride-along always had a pistol when he came out. He never pulled out a taser when he came out. So the statement
Objection,
that
Your Honor.
Robinson.
Go ahead, defense.
The Silver Ride-along did have a taser. It's just darkly tinted, I'd say, and it does look like a pistol. But he did have his pistol with him, but he was not aiming it until.
Objection.
All right. From my understanding in the CCTV footage, you're telling me that the ride-along had a taser out?
Yes, Your Honor. He only decided to switch lethal when there was another civilian behind Major Robinson aiming a gun at him. Then the civilian thought it was necessary to go lethal, which I agree with.
So now my next question is, Major Robinson, how did you know he had a taser on him?
He got it out my glove box.
You allowed him to grab a taser out your glove box in your vehicle?
Yeah, he grabbed it out the glove box. Cause I don't.
Did you allow him or?
No, he grabbed it out when he said I was switching to non-lethal, and then I said, okay, yeah, do that, I guess.
So technically, you gave him permission to go non-lethal. It's either a yes or no. Did you allow him to go non-lethal?
No comment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to speak for a second.
Proceed.
Alright, so as you can tell in the red truck's dash cam and the CCTV footage, the passenger, or the 1012, stepped out of the vehicle and immediately pointed his handgun. I believe it was a gold color with a a suppressor and a extra extended mag. The only part he switched to his taser was once, and then once he announced himself, he immediately put it back and switched to his handgun. He never really kept it out. He just kept pointing. It's just, yeah.
Okay. So, Major Robinson, you originally turned it to a code 5 stop because you felt that the man in the red truck was hitting you on purpose, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
My understanding in the footage, it seemed, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like he hit your car once on accident. Do you guys have any footage of, or actually any pictures of marks on your car or his car, prosecution or defense?
Your Honor, prosecution does not have any pictures of defense's car.
Defense, do you have any?
No, Your Honor, we do not.
Okay, so
can I speak?
proceed.
174.
What was that?
Can I speak?
Yes, proceed.
Okay. So as he just said, he turned the case into a code 5, correct?
Correct.
So like he said to me earlier, he doesn't have any like what with my case, I took out my gun just because I didn't have like I wasn't sure, so I was making sure that everybody else was safe. So I did assume things, and they told me that I shouldn't assume things as a police officer, and the first thing they do is assume. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, witness.
Your Honor, can prosecution bring out another witness?
No, we are past the witness stage.
Oh my.
Speak again out of my. Speak again. I will charge you for contempt. Okay. Judge Nick, do you have any other questions you would like to get more information on?
My first question is going to be for the defense. At any time, officer, did you provide a non-lethal option yourself?
Myself, no.
Okay. So you're saying that when you performed the initial traffic stop with the red vehicle, shown in the evidence provided, that you went to a straight lethal option.
Yes, Your Honor. And reasoning for that is because he hit me the first time. Yeah, it wasn't as hard. So, like I originally said, I was gonna go talk to him, and then he backed up, stayed there, and then apparently when he said the car hit him, I did not see the car at that time, and the red truck being pushed hit me harder than the first time. So at that point, yeah, I did feel threatened.
Okay. And did you happen to have any body cam footage or anything like that of that nature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you please present that to the court?
Yes, Your Honor. It'll take me a second.
Okay.
If I may, real quick, Your Honor.
Proceed.
I'm scrubbing through my body cam footage trying to find that event. And earlier that day, that red truck and 3 other cars, when I was parked at Ellis Customs, earlier that night, tried blocking me in. I never knew what that was about, but that red truck did move out of the way to try to block me in a certain other way, and I was able to get out. And then I believe a black car that was there tried following me, and I was able to lose them.
Objection, Your Honor.
On what grounds?
Prosecution.
I said on what grounds? What is your objection?
Oh, sorry. Negative. I did not try and block that car, and I didn't know what car he was in. First off, before that day started, I got robbed by a man in a black gauntlet. I tried calling 911, and no one answered. I don't know why. I guess the phones went dead.
Objection.
I thought that was the guy.
On what grounds?
On him getting robbed by a black gauntlet.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
A black gauntlet getting robbed, or something like that, I heard.
Alright, objection overruled. Please proceed.
But yeah, so I got robbed by a black gauntlet the first day. Now, like John said, it was nighttime, so the car did look black, not graphite, I think. Is that the color of the car, I guess? Graphite?
Correct.
I don't know. Correct, I guess. So I got robbed by that black gauntlet. I did try and call 911, and no one answered. I don't know why. I even, I tried at the sheriff's station. No one called, or no one answered. And then, I thought that was the black gauntlet because, like I said, at night it was hard to see. I did not see, it was just a black gauntlet with light window.
Prosecution, if I may ask the relevance.
He's saying I was trying to block him in, sir. And, like I said, I thought he was the vehicle that robbed me because it had, not blacked out window tint, but it had smoked window tint. And it did have the same rims, but I was, but there was only one person in the car at the time, not 2. So I was unsure at that point. I just got a good look at the car. That's all I'd say.
Defense, have you located that dash cam footage or body cam footage?
Still looking, Your Honor, but I would like to point out that there were 2 people outside. I had my time.
There was 2 people where?
In the gauntlet. He claimed there was 1. There were 2.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Actually,
I found it, Your Honor.
All right, if you would please submit that to the court.
All right, let me just get it out real quick.
And if you would, make sure to please submit to both me and Judge Cherry.
I will.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have to leave the chat to record it, though. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Just make sure you return it as soon as possible.
All right.
Your Honor, permission to ask something.
Proceed.
I was just wondering if there was a police report. I know that after every situation that happens, especially when you have to pull out your handgun or any type of weapon, that you have to submit a police report. Was there a police report filed against that or for that? Sorry.
Not that was presented to the court.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure it's by police protocol that all after that situation, something like that happened, you
Your
have
Honor, may
to
I speak?
have the police report.
Proceed.
I just want to point out that it's already past evidence, and whatever evidence the prosecution here is trying to present is no longer relevant.
The evidence I'm asking for is from your defendant.
Yes, I was just talking about the police report with the handgun.
May you submit that police report, as I did ask for that earlier?
Negative. That's not going to be on me.
Would your officer like to present that police report to the court?
No comment.
All right. Judge Terry, do you have a question?
Just was gonna ask who the police report would go to the department, right? Unless Major Robinson had a copy, right?
No, Your Honor, there was not one written that day.
Are you stating that there was no police report filed with the department?
What do you mean by police report? Do you mean end of shift report or like incident report?
Either or.
No, neither of those were filed.
Neither of those were filed?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, just give me a second. I'll send you that.
All right. At this time, would the defense like to present a closing statement?
The defense or the prosecution?
The defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Your Honor, I just went through the recording when we had recess, and it took the prosecutor about 2 minutes to get to the hospital from Burton, Los Santos Custom, down to the hospital. Let's be honest, Your Honor. If he was shot in the neck/shoulder area, he probably would have bled out within a minute. And then Hazelnut, which was one of the witnesses, stated there wasn't a lot of blood in the car, which is definitely false. If he was shot in the neck/shoulder area, there would be a lot of blood everywhere, all over Hazelnut's vehicle, which he stated there was. I believe my client is not guilty of any of these charges, as there's no sign of the bullet being recovered from the scene, nor is there any medical records/bills of this incident. Bear in mind, Major Robinson was following police protocol at all times. If anyone is aiming a gun at an officer, he has all right to shoot a civilian. It's his life before anyone else's. That's going to be it, Your Honor.
Thank you. And would the prosecution like to submit a closing statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution would like to submit a closing statement.
Please proceed.
Major Robinson is guilty of all charges and did not follow any police protocols because one, in police protocol is you also have to write a police report, yet Major Robinson failed that. Another thing he failed to do is search his 1012, which is also police protocol to search that, because what if the 1012 just walked in the police car with the gun and shot the police officer? What if he walked in with the bomb and blew up the whole car? That's not police protocol that he's following because he needed to search his 1012. Another thing he failed to do, those police protocols, after someone actually gets shot, is he needs to call EMS. That's a major thing he needed to do. Another thing Major Robinson failed to do was he never gave permission for the 1012 to even pull out a weapon at all. If it was a taser or a handgun, the 1012 is always supposed to wait for Major Robinson's command. He failed at his job, searching the 1012, calling EMS, letting him know permission, all that. He failed to do his job. Yet defense is trying to claim that it takes a minute just to bleed out. Depends on how fatal the wound is also, because the driver could have also been holding his neck, putting pressure against it. The officer also failed to identify himself just by giving him a name. I could have been saying, oh, I'm 1 Alpha, whatever. I'm 2 Bravo, I'm 3 Charlie. I could have also claimed that I was an officer, but I had to have a badge to prove it. Anyone can drive a gauntlet. Anyone can drive any car that can look like undercover. Anyone can drive a black gauntlet. Anyone can put red underglow under their car and claim that they're a cop. That's why there's police impersonators out there for a reason.
Your Honor, I have something to add on to that.
Proceed.
Under no manual does it state that you must search your 1012. And also, there was no time to call EMS since the civilian was already getting transported. And also, I have one more thing to add on. Police protocol isn't law; it's a policy. That should be taken with the department and not in court. Just wanted to add on. I think the prosecution's unaware of that.
These things will be taken into consideration. Prosecution.
Objection, Your Honor. The prosecutor here also did go to the department. I believe he was told that he was not able to sue the department as they closed the department down, so therefore he is suing John at this time, or Major Robinson. Sorry for the name mix-up. Sorry, I have different names going through my name, head. But go ahead. Sorry.
Do you have anything else with your closing statement, prosecution?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right. At this time, the court will be in recess while me and Judge Cherry come to a verdict. If you have to leave the courtroom, please inform the bailiff before doing so. All right. At this time, court is now in session. If everyone would please rise for the verdict. The court has found the defendant guilty on the charges of filing a false police report due to no report being filed with the office. That is a misdemeanor, Title 4, Section 4, 110 seconds, as well as disorderly conduct, Title 5, Section 3, a misdemeanor as well, another 110 seconds. The total fine will be $15,000 to be paid to the plaintiff with a 15-day time to pay. Court is adjourned.
Major Robinson was found guilty for disorderly conduct and filing a false police report due to no report filed for the incident, and for ride-along committing attempted murder. He will be charged with disorderly conduct for allowing a civilian in his police vehicle to enter with a lethal weapon. As for the civilian who was a ride-along, Barry Allen, he had a warrant for his arrest for failure to appear in court, attempted murder, aggravated assault, and brandishing a firearm. Police officers pulled him over, arresting him, and bringing justice to the lives he has hurt.